What up, though? What up, though, y'all? It's your boy Shane G here with the homies from the Bar Exam. I got Eric G over there. I got Mr. Marcus over there. As you can see, Allie is not here today. It is because she is in Jamaica celebrating her birthday. So let's give it up for Allie. Happy birthday, Allie. You know what I'm saying? Hope you're having a blast.
Birthday, Allie.
You feel me? Hope you're having a blast.
Definitely a real nigga holiday in Jamaica.
That's right. That's right. All right, y'all. So today we are here to bring you some of the most unique rappers in the game. You know, people who have a unique voice, a unique flow. They rap about something unique, unique delivery, you know, things of that nature. That's where we're going with it today. And hopefully, you know, we can be exposed to some people that we don't normally listen to, you know, and dabble into some different things. Because, you know, all hip hop, that was a big complaint about rap for a long time, you know, especially for more so for non-listeners, but a lot of people would complain a lot about you know, all of it sounds the same, or it's just, you know, so this will definitely prove that otherwise, you know what I mean? So who wants to start off with their pick? Who's ready?
I can go first.
You got it, Eric. What up?
Yeah, so I think really good person to bring up on this list, just because of a lot of the major impact that he had over the years, is Kid Cudi. I think Cudi is very unique for a multitude of reasons. He's one of the first artists who kind of started really taking on the I don't want to say auto-tune, because he wasn't really never heavy on auto-tune, but he was just the guy who was really starting to open up the window for guys to do albums strictly with melodies. But it was more it was more than the melody for him, because it wasn't just the melodies, it was the kind of stuff that he was talking about. Like, the subject matter felt very punk rockish, like a lot of themes and a lot of subjects in that he would touch on throughout his albums. It derived a lot from like the punk rock era style of albums that were coming out around that time. Even the way that he would rap on some of the songs, like it even had like a slight like poppy and edgier like stylistic flow take to it. And he was one of the first people that just really embraced that and opened up the lane for a bunch of other artists to do it and kind of flip it in their own way. But when you go back and listen to albums like the Man on the Moon series, or even Indie Cut, or like some of the stuff that he was doing with Kanye around that time, like, you just didn't really hear anybody else taking major risk as much as he was. And so I don't think, I know I've said this on this show before a numerous amount of times, but I don't really think you get a lot of your Travis Scotts or your Young Thugs, or, you know, like some of the people who kind of took what Cudi was doing stylistically and kind of just built upon that. But I really do believe that he was kind of the first person, especially in the late 2000s going into 2010s. Like, he was one of the first people that I really recognized to kind of bring that style to the forefront. And so to me, that was why I picked him, because he just had such an eclectic style around that time, when it felt like rap was like really trying to figure out like what the next lane was going to be. And it felt like he just was kind of ahead of the curve of everybody else. And then you get your Drakes and, you know, your other rappers who also wanted to embrace melodies in the lyrics more so than ever before. So yeah, I think that is definitely a major reason why Cudi deserves to be on this list.
Sure. Marcus, did you listen to Cudi?
By proxy, by feature, not by I listened to. He was always featured on somebody else's. I wasn't searching for Kid Cudi. He was always on he was on something else, and then I heard Kid Cudi. I was never looking for Kid Cudi first.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like, because I don't know, like the off key
Sean category, actually. To me,
Like you said, what?
I put him in the category of like Big Sean.
Really? Explain.
That's
Like
interesting.
I wasn't checking for him. I wasn't like when. See, there's a it's a preference. It has nothing to do with ability. If I wasn't necessarily a fan. I was aware, but I wasn't like keeping up with the new release. Like you weren't just on my list of what's going on, what do I know what's going on, what's your situation, what's the new project, why didn't this project, like it just wasn't on my radar. So that's when I say I wasn't checking for it. Wasn't necessarily he didn't have fans or he was whack or I didn't believe like and to be fair in this analysis in that criteria, Nipsey was the same way until he died. So
okay,
that's it. Just I was aware of who you are and what you were, but I wasn't looking for your albums or your projects or anything like that.
Do we consider Kid Cudi a rapper? Because I always felt like he was more of a singer than a rapper. Like, because he always does melodies. Like, he's not like a Drake where he does both and there's a clear distinction between the singing and the rapping, or even like a Travis Scott where it's like there's a lot of auto-tune in there, but like there are clear rapping parts of his songs too. You know what I mean? Like Cudi kind of always sings, right? Or am I wrong?
So I can see why you would say that, but if you actually listen to the music, he's putting together raps. Now most of
so the flow of it is rappy.
Yeah, but like most of them do have melodies, but when he dives into actual verses, like it's a 16 still.
Like you could say it the same way without the melody, and it would still be good. Type shit.
Yeah,
like okay,
sure. Yeah.
I would agree.
I would even especially like his like earlier stuff before he like linked with Kanye when he was kind of on his own. He was playing a lot with both. I feel like once he got with good music and Kanye and all them, that's when the melodies like that was when that became like the focus, if anything.
Got it.
So I kind of going off of what you just said, I would say yes, but then I would also say, what would you call Chris Brown? Clearly, he's
Chris Brown. I think is a singer who raps sometimes.
Okay, so that's where I was going with it. What would you? Because we clearly know that Chris Brown is not a rapper, but we also know that Chris Brown has bars and could body a lot of rap.
Yeah.
You know, so but he's not in that. So to say that Kid Cudi is not a rapper but has melody and just only does R&B, I don't consider him R&B though.
Well, not necessarily R&B either. Like almost like pop, more like an alternative pop kind of thing. Like it's almost like its own category almost because it's like not like anything else, sort of. You know what I mean? Like it's hip hop under the umbrella of hip hop, yes, but is it rap? Like, yeah, kinda, but also kinda not. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think that definition is the difference between hip hop and rap. I think that definition has grown more and more as the genre continues to evolve anyway, though. So,
yeah, I think hip hop is like an umbrella that basically just sort of encompasses urban music more than anything at this point. It's like kind of anything under the urban music category is basically hip hop. Like even R&B, a lot of that is hip hop now.
There's still certain things that are just rap.
Exactly. That's my point, though. But within that, there is a lot of shit that is rap. Like Benny the Butcher is a rapper. That's it. That's what you're getting from him is raps. You know what I'm saying? Jadakiss is a rapper. Like that's it. You know what I mean? So, and then you got a lot of these hybrid niggas. So, you know.
Yeah. See, I'm glad. Hybrid niggas.
And like Drake is a hybrid. He's like an exact hybrid. He's like a 50-50 hybrid of a pop singer and a rapper. Yeah. He's an exact 50. That's why I don't call him either. He's just an artist. But yeah, he's a hybrid. He's both.
I would, and it's the same reason why you wouldn't call Chris Brown a hybrid, even though he could put out a whole rap tape tomorrow and nobody would be shocked.
Yeah, because his bread and butter is singing. He is a singer first and foremost. That is what he's known for, is singing and dancing. You know what I'm saying? The rapping came way later. And it was like, oh, you can do this too? That's what's up. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, for me, I got a guy who, you know, we're keeping it hometown. You know what I'm saying? I got my Detroit versus everybody hoodie on. You know what I mean? We're keeping it real Detroit. And This is a neighborhood friend, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy, Danny Brown. You know what I'm saying? Representing the Bruiser Brigade, representing Linwood. And this guy he's definitely an acquired taste, I would say. Because his voice is so unique that I could understand it throwing people off. Like he raps a lot. Like when he's doing like highly energetic raps, he can almost get as high pitched as like Be Real from Cypress Hill. You know what I'm saying? Like his vocal range like can get up that high. But then like when he's rapping and like a more subdued or like serious song, or like he's talking about like his problems and stuff like that, his voice goes like way low. You know what I mean? So he has like just the stupidest amount of vocal range, like out of really any rapper, you know, that I've heard outside of rappers that sing, you know what I mean? And he doesn't sing, like he strictly raps. But then he also uses very eclectic beats. Like he'll do, you know, like he put out an album called Old, and the first half of the album was basically all like boom bap, very traditional hip hop beats with like samples and stuff like that. And the whole second half of the album was all EDM beats and like high like Diplo type trap beats and, you know, stuff like that. I think Diplo did a track on the album actually. So he just has like this crazy range. And then like when he's just rapping about stuff, like he has a very basic flow, but the stuff he says is like hella clever. So it's like, or he'll have like at least like one laughable punchline or, you know, something. So like, here's a quick verse. This is from the song Fire. It's Elzhi featuring a bunch of Detroit niggas and Danny Brown's on it. So he says, I fire up the blunt and it tastes like gumbo. Hit the trees hard like George in the jungle. I'ma play humble before I let the K rumble. Know you got a bitch daddy and a snitching ass uncle. Brown play niggas like Funko. Land tan seats in the old school sedan. So nigga talk sweet in the 45th blam. Hit a nigga in his back. Make him do a handstand. So the lines I like on that, obviously they hit the trees hard like George in the jungle. That's a good line. I know you got a bitch daddy and a snitching ass uncle. That's just funny. And then he says, Brown play niggas like Funko, land tan seats in the old school sedan. So for niggas of me and probably Marcus's age, GameStop used to be called Funko Land. So it was a place where you could go, you could trade in your video games, your video game systems. I think they sold like Pogs and Slammers back in the day and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my 90s kids. Y'all know what that is. You know, they didn't have like the point store system, though. They would actually give you cash back for video games, or you could do trade-ins. It was always more beneficial to do a trade-in because they was always, you know, trying to jip you on your cash. But, you know, Funko Land rebranded and became GameStop. Now, I don't know if it was Funko Land everywhere. That might have been a Michigan thing or a Midwest thing. I don't know. But GameStop is everywhere. So if you ever knew what Funko Land was, that's what happened to it. It became GameStop. So, but then just the way he switches the flow in that part too, I thought was dope. Because he's finishing the first rhyme pattern with the Funko. So I know you got a bitch daddy and a snitching ass uncle. Brown play niggas like Funko, and then he switches it when he says land because the place is called Funko Land. So land. Tan seats in the old school sedan. So then he just carries that flow for the rest of the verse. So it's a very unique way of switching your rhyme pattern because he did it like in the middle of a bar versus waiting till the end of a bar like most people do. You know what I mean? So not only does he have a unique voice, he has unique rhyme patterns. He has unique, you know, references in his music. You know, the stuff that he crafts punchlines out of is not references that a lot of people use. So yeah, shout out Danny Brown.
Yeah, Danny Brown's dope, and I do really like that trees line.
Huh?
I say he do look like an acquired taste. Like when you put his picture up, that's an acquired look. Like because that's a lot going on.
So a funny story about Danny Brown is Tony Yayo actually is the first nigga that put him on. G Unit was in Detroit, and somehow they ran into each other, and Danny Brown was able to. I'm gonna assume that Danny Brown was selling Tony Ayo weed. That is what I'm gonna assume. They've never said that, but there's no other reason for in the mid 2000s for them niggas to have been around each other. So that's my guess.
Pause right there. Pause right there. You just described the last scene in fucking Hustle and Flow.
Yeah. Yeah, I really feel like that's how it went down. I feel like Danny Brown was selling Tony Ayo some weed, because another funny Danny Brown story is, remember when Dave Chappelle bombed in Detroit?
Yeah.
And then he said, I was smoking some weed with some rappers. Danny Brown. Yeah, wow. That was the nigga that got, yeah. And that's confirmed. So, so yeah, I believe Danny Brown, this is just about it. Allegedly, this is just my opinion. I believe Danny Brown was selling weed to Tony Ayo in the mid 2000s, and he played him some music. Tony Ayo liked the music. He took Danny Brown on tour. Now this part is confirmed. He took him on tour with him with G Unit. They put out a mixtape together. It's called Hawaiian Snow. You can still find that. But Danny Brown back then used to wear skinny jeans. This is way before it ever became a trend. You know what I'm saying? This is before Wayne and before all of that shit. Like, this is, you know, when G Unit was popping. So this is, you know, it's, if anything, it's the opposite. You know what I'm saying? So he's wearing tight zebra pants and white jeggings and shit, basically, because he dressed like a skater always. And 50 was like, Tony Ayo, bro, like, your man's got to change his wardrobe up, otherwise he can't fuck with us. Like, his music's dope, but we can't fuck with tight white pants. Like, niggas gonna think we gay and all that, you know what I'm saying? So Danny Brown didn't want to change his look up, so they kicked him off tour, and that is why he didn't end up ultimately signing with G Unit, and he was back in the hood after that. So, yeah, acquired taste for sure. But that's yeah.
Funny.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Shout out my nigga Danny Brown, man. Shout out Danny Brown. Shout out Dopehead. Shout out the whole Bruiser Brigade.
Come on.
But yeah, so you had a unique pick, who's also one of my favorites, Marcus. So who you want to speak on, bro?
So I'm gonna speak on Daylight, the battle rapper. You know, one of the most unpredictable, you can say, polarizing, wordplay, lyrically brilliant minds in battle rap, period. Like, easily top 3 of all time. And it's you know, in the top, he's on the Mount Rushmore of lyrics in battle rap. It's Daylight. You know, he's from California. And he didn't come up through URL. He came up through the King of the Dot series. You know, he went an alternative way, but what sets him apart is as equally good as he is. His antics are worse, and the antics aren't needed, but he's known for the antics. I mean, he was the first one to come in like superhero costumes. You know, it was just over the top theatrical performances. And, you know, Shane, we were talking about it off air. You know, you were actually in the building when he tried to defecate shit on stage.
Yep.
And those are the things that he was doing in battle. He didn't need to do to win the battle. If he just would have had, if it was no antics in Daylight's career, he would have been on Wild 'N Out. That's one avenue you can say. He would have easily been on Wild 'N Out.
You know what happened with Daylight? What he figured out very early, which a lot of content creators, Daylight is actually one of the first people I would call a content creator. And the reason I say that is because he figured out what a lot of niggas figured out, I'd say within the last couple of years when it comes to the content, is that in battle rap, he stopped caring whether he won or lost when it came to certain opponents. You know what I'm saying? If it was a battle that he knew people didn't really give a fuck about like that, that's when you would see the crazy shit. That's when he would try to take a shit on the stage, or he would try to, you know what I'm saying, put his hand in his balls and then wipe the dude's face, which he did on stage one time. You know, things of this nature, right? or just going up there freestyling really bad, like, and it's like, oh, you didn't prepare at all, like, you know what I mean? But he'll figure out a way to pull off an antic, or just something like that, or the over the top costumes, all this type of shit. He figured out that people are going to talk about that stuff more than they talk about the battle anyway, because that stuff might end up on other websites that don't normally cover battle rap, because it's so outlandish. And it's like, yo, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So he's bringing eyeballs to battle rap in one sense, because more people are going to check it out to see what the crazy shit is. And two, he's keeping his name in the headlines, and then he ends up on Vlad, and then he can say things like, yeah, I'd fuck Diddy. You know what I'm saying? And then that goes viral. And now all of a sudden his name is outside of battle rap at this point. You know what I mean? And the whole time, whenever he's battling somebody for real, it always ends up being one of those super crazy lyrical battles that remind you, oh, that's why we like him in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So he was really just one of those first people to kind of figure out, like, essentially manipulating the algorithm in a way to always keep his name in the headlines.
So
I figured out he started doing that when, oh my bad, I was just going to say real quick. I figured out that he started doing that when he had his battle against Tay Rock. Because you could tell.
I feel like that was his return to, let me just show you niggas I can rap. Like, he did no antics almost in that one. It was just straight rapping.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. That's what I see.
Yeah. But anyway, go ahead, Maurice.
I'm not going to say Daylight was the final boss in battle rap. Like, I know it's a pathway to get to him, but he was always one of those opponents who I look like, if you went through Daylight, how was Daylight going to break you down? So and Daylight was like that. Charlie Clips was like that. Hollow the Down was like that. Like, you can have these massive records or this great fanfare or these, but if you hadn't, Verb was like that too, to an extent, but Verb will make you jump through so many hoops to get to him. You wouldn't necessarily get to him right away. But those were rappers. I don't want, gatekeep is not the right term, but like, you could have all of these views and fans and everybody, if you hadn't went through somebody of worthy competition who could actually do this, it didn't matter. And Daylight was easily one of those. What comes also to mind is that antic wise, I really believed at that time he was trying to holler at Young M.A. Like, it was that believable. Like, it was that like that. And then you start, and now Drewski, fast forward, has made like, oh yeah, Studs is fine, but at that time, different time, like, you could hit a stud, like, it was just a different time, different era, but he was the first one that was like a trend-setting moment. He said it. And then
that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, on the content creation way, because think about what streamers do all the time. All they do, like, except for your certain streamers who like maybe cover the news or their gaming content or something like that. But outside of that, what do most streamers, like the in real life streamers and stuff, what do? They just go out in public, act a fool for the views. That's it. That's all they do. Like that dude who just got arrested over in Korea or wherever, Vietnam or whatever it was, Johnny Somali or whatever his name was. He's about to go to prison because he was over there fucking around. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, there's this dude, he was over there like desecrating monuments and doing all type of wild shit. He was just like streaming himself in the stores, like in I'll say Asian restaurants because I'm not specifically sure what country, but he was eating a food that you're supposed to eat with chopsticks. He was like eating it with his fingers and just like throwing the food in the restaurant and shit and telling the waitress, bitch, come clean it up and all type of shit. And like just wilding out on stream. But because of these antics, more and more people view it because some people like watching people crash out. Some people are living vicarious through him, like, oh, he doesn't give a fuck, and I wish I could not give a fuck, but my life doesn't allow me to not give a fuck, so I'm going to watch him. You know what I'm saying? There's all these different reasons, but you grow this audience, and now you end up in another country breaking laws, and They don't give a fuck that you're famous in America or on the internet or whatever. Now you're in prison. You know what I'm saying? But that's the natural evolution of the shit that Daylight was doing in battle rap, really. If you just do anything for attention and you're rewarded for it, you're going to keep doing more and more extreme shit. And in Daylight's case, that leads you to trying to take a shit on the stage. You know what I'm saying? In other people's case, it might lead you to walking up to a random couple and saying, you're black and that person's white. You know, you're ruining the genetic pool. What do you think about that? I saw that video today. So these are wild things that are happening in streaming. You know what I'm saying? And it's all because of that. Just attention is currency nowadays. That's what it is. So
not somebody that you picked on the list or that you have in mind. Is there any of the weird niggas that you wish made it mainstream with their weirdness?
Let me see. Out of this list,
because there's one that comes to mind for me right off the bat, and that was Trinidad James.
Yeah,
like he came in weird, but I also wanted him to go mainstream, so his weird could be experienced, like so he could be a different, almost. If I could have Trinidad James and Tyler the Creator switch career trajectory, that would be perfect.
Yeah, Trinidad was fire. Like, I mean, not as a rapper or anything like that, but like he could make a song though. You know what I'm saying? And that's important. You know what I'm saying? You need niggas that can just make good songs. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I fuck with Trinidad.
Quiet as it's kept, that people obviously love him for All Gold Everything. That first mixtape that he came out with was fire. The one that it was originally on.
The mixtape,
I don't remember the name of it, but that first tape was really good. Yeah, I think you're right. You're on to something there, Marcus. Like, I think if they would have allowed his weirdness to expand more, he could have definitely rode the wave a little bit longer.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let me see who else. I saw Tech Nine on the list.
Tech Nine was
weird just because it's strange music, or is he actually, or is it because he paints his face and shit? Because if you like really listen to the music, subject matter wise, it's not too different than most hip hop. It's aggressive, and the way he raps is more, you know, he raps like with the chopper style that they call like the super fast flow and shit like that. But if you listen to the content of it, it's not that different than most rappers. So is he really weird, or is it just the aesthetic?
It's the aesthetic.
I'm gonna be a little biased because I'm in St. Louis. Clearly, Kansas City is only 4 hours away, so we were aware of Tech Nine, and you know, Tech Nine just literally found a different audience and lane. So you know how you want to pass out your mixtape to everybody in the club. He went to all the bars with bands, you know. So he came black on the backside instead of going through us first. If that makes like a marketing sense. And then he was always independent, and then he was he was with just on the other side. He's where rappers wanted to be. He was doing his shows were festivals because they were rock shows, and he was the rapper or doing his own shows with the band. So it's not. I don't consider him like a weird nigga who was rapping because he was just amongst white people who was rapping. I don't consider him weird because he wasn't doing any of the rock antics, you know.
Right.
On those kind of things. Like he painted his face to blend in, I think, not more so to stand out.
By the definition of all, by that definition that you just laid out, Wiz would be on this list then.
I could say that. Yeah, you could.
Because he didn't the way he came in was a little untraditional. He was passing out mixtapes and stuff too, but he was like the first rapper that I remember that like was hitting colleges and being like, let's go on college tours and shit. And obviously I know Shane, you can speak to that, but like he was like, it was like him, Mac Miller, like that like little crop of artists, like they were the first ones to kind of start that wave. And I wouldn't put either of them niggas on this list just because they went through a different market rather than the traditional like club mixtape circuit route or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely picked a different pathway for their, and then also with Wiz too, another thing that he did that was unique at the time that everybody does now was Wiz is sort of one of the first content creators because he had a YouTube channel and he would film like very low budget music videos with his own webcam. You know what I'm saying? Just like moving the laptop around and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And then doing like these low budget ass edits and shit like that. And that's how a lot of his stuff came. He was just doing like remixes and stuff like that. So that was how I first heard of Wiz. Was off from some niggas in the dorm room, and they was just like, "Yo, this is one of our we fuck with this nigga." Blah 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 blah. And obviously, with the whole weed thing, like that was huge at the time. You know what I'm saying? So,
there's a YouTube video that he did way back in the day that is like that exact style. It looks like a webcam setup, and it's like. I think it's him, French, Big Sean, and Nipsey, I think.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, hella low budget. They're just all like in the camera, just flexing, smoking weed and shit. Like,
Yep. So
my introduction to Wiz was through Juicy J.
Really?
Yeah, see, like.
So, like, when he...
Yeah, there's a lot of history. One of the funnest nights I ever had was at the Cushion Orange Juice tour. I got to hang out with the Taylor gang, and that was way before he linked up with Juicy. So yeah, there's a lot that you gotta go back on, man.
Yeah. So that's when I noticed him. Like that's when I was like, oh, who is this? And then I went back.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, no, I got introduced by when he was with Juicy J. Because at that time, Juicy didn't have Taylor gang was known. I don't want to say known unknown, but if it was, I'm like, why would he link up with this younger dude? Like, who is this? He was making enough noise and momentum that, and he wasn't from Memphis. That was a thing. Like, as much as I know, like Memphis rap and now, I'm like, this dude ain't nowhere near a Memphis sound or nothing. Like,
yeah,
had the similar effect of when Drake tapped Take Heat. You like Drake? How did he get with like? It was one of those type of deals.
One of the biggest signings that never happened, because it's still on the topic of who we're speaking of. One of the biggest signings that never happened that I think would have changed the trajectory of a lot of shit. Lil Uzi Vert was supposed to sign to Taylor gang back in like 2014, 2015.
I'm glad you brought him up.
Wiz was on Uzi early, and Wiz started making songs with him, and this was like right around the time that I think Wiz had just signed Juicy, he had just signed Ty, and he was like Taylor gang was like becoming like a thing, like a real force, and I think Uzi was about to sign to him. That would have been, but then I think that was right around the time when Wiz and Drama went on tour together, and Drama found Uzi from there, and basically Wiz was like, all right, you can go with Drama if that's what you want to do. And that's how that happened.
Uzi's definitely a nigga that I kind of expected you to bring up, Eric, as one of the weird rap niggas. Because
for sure.
Because not only aesthetically is he very strange, you know what I'm saying, as far as the way he chooses to dress and the way he chooses to present himself publicly. The nigga surgically implanted a diamond in his forehead. Come on. Like, let's...
Yeah, that nigga wanted to...
But he did do that. He did do that.
Like, we're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, he knows he's weird. He does it on purpose, so we're gonna say it. But musically as well, though. You know what I mean? Like, he's very, very different. He's obviously not a traditional rapper. He does like a lot of the auto-tune stuff.
He did have niggas on that shoulder.
He's kind of like a sort of a a weird ass shoulder dance, you know what I'm saying? But people fuck with him. Now, is he like off of the Travis branch? Is he off of the Future branch? Like, who would you say, Eric, he's more influenced by? Because I don't listen to him enough to really say either way. But I know that you at least did at one point. I don't know about now, but
see, if you were asking me back then, I probably would have said Future.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't really kept up with his newer stuff too much recently. So I can't tell if that influence is still there or if he's like leaning more towards the Travis sound aesthetic of it. But nah, back then, like around some of those early projects, like when he was first coming up, like the Future influence was there for
It was
sure,
more Future.
and Young Thug too. Young Thug too, for sure.
So you would put them in different categories then?
Future and Thug.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Marcus, what do you think?
So
I felt like that for a while, or I haven't felt like that for a while, but as more time went on, I kind of split them more in two different categories.
Okay.
So Thug is different because I initially Thug was the weirdest, right? When I say weirdest, like when he was full on painting the nails with the dress, right? But I also didn't really know Thug. I knew like as I grew and more and listened to him more, it was less weird, more creative.
Yeah.
If that like, but initial thoughts, I would agree with you. Like, oh yeah, that's why he's not even on the list. That's why I can't put him on the list now. So it was more just like I want to be different. And
I think at first, I think he grew into what you're talking about. I think at first, though, he was purposely trying to be weird, and because he was wearing dresses and calling niggas bae and wrapping his arms up, sipping lean out of the other nigga's hand, and shit, calling niggas hubby, and doing like he was doing shit on purpose to make niggas go, this nigga's weird. Like, and then he kind of stopped doing that at a certain point. I feel like maybe after the Jeffrey album where he had that giant dress on the album cover. I feel like after that is when he kind of chilled on all of that.
So,
like, which is funny because that's one of his best albums.
It is. It actually is. If everybody they say everybody all the rappers want to be NBA players and all the NBA players want to be rappers. Mm-hmm. I always thought like Thug and Dennis Rodman were the same.
Sure.
That's a great.
But niggas called Dennis Rodman weird. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but also Dennis got bitches.
True. When I say weird, I don't mean like in the new sense, how it's like weird instantly means negative. I mean like unique or different.
Yeah.
Like you never thought of them as a gay nigga or a weird nigga or just even though with the dress or doing all of these antics didn't make you gay. So that's why I use the Dennis Rodman because Dennis Rodman, we call it like, so that's why I was like, nah, you got to know Thug more and more and more and actually become a fan. Then you like, all right, that's just that nigga acting. It was less, but I feel like introductory, it was for shock value. Or it was just
that's my point. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And then and also he's in Atlanta.
Just like Rodman wearing the wedding dress at the press conference. He did that for shock value. You know what I'm saying? Because he knew people would talk about it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it or, that there's a problem or nothing like that. I'm just saying in urban settings, especially, we know black people are homophobic. Like, let's be real. You know what I'm saying? So like in urban settings, like if you're playing with that, a lot of times you're doing it because you know that it's going to get a certain type of reaction. That's all I'm saying. Like,
and let me. Okay, I'm glad you said what you said the way you said it. I feel like he was playing with it to get the reaction versus him being a part of it, and it's being like two different versions of him.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like, like I'm playing with the idea, but I ain't really like that.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's. So yeah,
I totally agree, and I think Rodman was doing the same thing in the 90s.
Sure.
Like I think that was the exact same thing he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, even Prince to a degree. That was kind of what he was doing. He was flirting with, like just as far as the way he dressed and stuff like that. Like obviously he got away with it being a musician and a rock star and shit, but like Also, it was like, Prince, why are your ass cheeks out, bro? But that's Prince and he gets bitches, so we'll look the other way. You know what I'm saying? Like, but niggas looked at Prince like he was weird. Like, let's not front. Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially when he changed his name to a symbol. Niggas was like, okay, he's weird. Like, we don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, what's up with his name and all his, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I mean. Like, I don't mean it like we're writing him off or like, oh, you're a weirdo. Like, I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, it just makes you pause. You know what I'm saying?
And then also when you ask that question of putting Thug and Future as two separate entities instead of one being under the other, they're also both weird in their own ways too. Like Future is also a weirdo, but his comes out more in the actual music rather than aesthetically. Like you'll hear a weird bar or a weird reference or something like that from Future, whereas as much as Thug does aesthetically, he actually, the shit that he says, it can be wild, but if you really listen, Future is pushing that boundary way more. Like the peeing on bitches line and shit like that. Like
he is always peeing on girls, like constantly. And like, whereas Thug, he's just obsessed with getting head all the time. Like he is not concerned about anything else but getting his dick sucked regularly. You know what I'm saying? That's Thug all day. Future's trying to pee on somebody.
Future's peeing on bitches, and then Thug's getting head is just like Wayne's eating pussy.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
The exact same thing.
Yep.
Okay. Obvious question before we wrap it up. Which artist would you want to be? Let that knee slapper go. Which
like artist, under those circumstances, I'll be Thug all day.
Which artist do you want to be?
In that situation, give me I'll be Thug all day. You know what I'm saying? Let me just lay back and just get Dome constantly, because he always raps about getting his dick sucked so much. Like,
but you know what's funny about all those? You are right. Just like speaking like which one you should pick more. However, I will say the way Wayne rapped about eating pussy, he made that shit sound like he needed that shit more than water.
Yeah. He was the nigga from prison who was talking about booty, but pussy though. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, pussy's more important than air. Like, pussy's more important than water.
Exactly.
Was that on the Gimme Some Head? That was the one verse where Wayne talked about getting some head. That was fire. Like
on the remix with Pharrell and them. Yeah.
That's the one time he stepped outside of the eating pussy and he just talked about getting head. But other than that, no, that nigga was eating.
I was gonna say, because then he came right back with Pussy Monster.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
You gotta feed me pussy.
I guess I'd be like Shane. I'm gonna go Thug too.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm going Thug too, of course.
No, everybody.
And my second choice would be Wayne. I have no interest in peeing on anybody.
Nah, I'm good.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean.
All right, man. On that note,
you said interest. Like interest means it crossed on my it's not an everyday. It could be a bucket list, a one time. That has never crossed. Like, what do you get out of this? That's never crossed your mind. I'm not.
No.
Gonna say that.
Nah.
I'm gonna be the only nigga honest on the podcast then, because it's crossed my.
No, I'm being honest. I've never.
Listen.
Not once have I ever had the desire to pee on a young lady.
So first of all, we're gonna go therapy. Words matter.
They do.
You started off with saying, "Is there an interest?" Meaning I saw it and it intrigued. A desire means I want. I didn't say I had a desire.
Now, when you say intrigued, is it more like
what that feel?
Like, what do you mean by that?
Like you remember? Yeah, exactly. Remember those memes you see, and they got the Mike Epps. He's like, damn, I'm trying to see what that feel like. Like, you know, it's something I never thought about that before. That has never crossed my
Trying
mind.
to see what it feels like almost sounds like you want it to happen though. Which slides into desire territory at that point.
It slides, but you can manifest. It slides, but you control you just like you can adjust the volume. You can turn it up or you can turn it down. Doesn't mean that it's on surround sound. It just that does not. Yeah, you're not gonna cut this up to make it seem like no. I'm just saying, you watch something or hear something and you be like, damn, I ain't never in my life thought. And because see, here's the thing. I feel like with the right partner, whatever level you're on, right? We're talking about just you as a man, she as a woman. Whatever right partner you have, if y'all are in sync, if she with it, you with it. If it's the right person.
Sure.
And that goes for almost damn near anything. Now,
so are you asking me would I pee on somebody if they wanted me to? Like if they were like, hey,
that at all. No, like I'm not gonna ask you that.
It sounds like you're steering the conversation that direction. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just
like, what if she wants it? I'm not saying that you gotta like it, but if she asks, like, hey, I'm about to get in the tub, and you know what I'm saying?
Well, then
I want to take 2 showers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I want to take 2 showers.
Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Would I give her one? Is that what you're asking? Like,
well, I mean,
if I was in sync with the right person and the dominoes fell and the stars aligned and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go, Kurt. Someone asked the question. Would Shane pee?
Man,
he peed because she asked him, and then he let it be.
Bruh, oh my god.
Man, that's a lot of love. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of love.
Like I said, I mean, I don't have. It's crossed my mind. That's all. It's crossed. I don't have a desire. I don't have an interest. I don't have a suggestion. Can't give you techniques. I can't say hit it on the shoulder, let it go off her cheek. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know any of those things.
It's cool,
but it is a possible slider.
It's like at a 1 decibel. On the. Yeah.
It's a slider like White Castle, man. All right, y'all, we're gonna get out of here, bro. This is the bar exam. We talk about rap and rap music, and we're very serious about rap and rap music. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we talk about on the show, and we don't talk about, you know, peeing on people or things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, though, we will catch y'all next week. Please like, share, subscribe for all the latest content. Follow everybody, Ethos Media Network. I am at Shane_Ethos. He is at Mr_Marcus TV. And then this gentleman over here, you couldn't see which way I was pointing, but this way, he is at the Eric G Life on everything. So make sure you follow us, and we will catch y'all next week. Peace.